Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit-Down. If you have been following along with me recently, you know it is San Diego Comic-Con weekend, and I've been following coverage and doing as much of my own coverage as I possibly can over yesterday's Thursday and today's Friday. But if you've been following along with me on Twitter, at cinema_sitdown, you should have seen this tweet from me a couple hours ago where I said I was taking a break from Comic-Con to go catch a movie. And as you can see, I'm in my car. That means one thing and one thing only. It's live reaction time, baby. So pull up a chair, take a seat. I'm fresh out the theater after seeing Equalizer 2, the new flick from Denzel Washington and Antoine Fuqua, coming back after Equalizer, the first Equalizer for the sequel. This movie's dope, man. I really like it. I'll be upfront with you. Denzel is my favorite actor, hands down, and I tend to love all his movies. So I might have a little bit of a bias. I'm fairly good at suppressing it, man. And I'll tell you, like with the first Equalizer, it's a really good example. I liked it, right? It was good, awesome action sequences, but it was a little flat. Something was missing in that one. And the action scenes were kind of outrageous sometimes, which was entertaining, but took away from some of the realistic builds I thought that Fuqua was doing in that movie. We get here, man. We get that same visceral approach, both that close quarters camera shooting and close quarters combat, and we get that visceral attacking style in the way in which Denzel did everything in Equalizer 1, that same visceral approach, but shown to us a little bit differently. I love that we get an opening sequence in this movie that teleports us right back to that Equalizer place and gives us things that we're familiar with. But then after that title card comes up, man, Antoine Fuqua does some different things, camera-wise, technical-wise. And I tell you, man, one thing I love about Antoine Fuqua, say what you want about any of his movies, dude knows how to set up a shot and knows how to use the camera, and he certainly does that in this movie. But as I was saying, I love the visceral action in this movie. Denzel, stellar performance as per usual. And I feel like he's even more invested in this character than he was the first time. He really brings it, man. And I love watching him play McCall on screen. He's just so good at it, man. His approach and when he turns things on and turns things off, and just the coolness in the way in which he approaches everything action-oriented in this movie. Everything to a revenge story, just so calm and cool, even when he's under pressure. I love all of that from him. And it's also got a solid supporting cast around him. Pedro Pascal plays one of his former military buddies that kind of gets involved in the overall big kind of story mission thing, that the big overall revenge story, if you will, for this one. And then there's another supporting actor, this kid Ashton Sanders, who plays Miles, kid who lives in McCall's apartment complex. He's kind of like your replacement for Chloe Grace Moretz, only I love this kid so much more. Denzel had really good chemistry with Chloe Grace Moretz, but I don't know, man. There's something between these two, man, that there's just like this inherent connection. It's the way in which Denzel looks at him and the way Miles looks back, Ashton Sanders looks back at him throughout the movie. You just get this kind of connection, and you can see that Denzel takes a shine to the kid, really cares about him. And I love that, man. That story really drives him. Like I said, there's action in this movie that's awesome, right? Like that opening sequence is great. The ending sequence is very similar to the first Equalizer, where Denzel's kind of in a place he's familiar with. Villains aren't. Open space where he's running around and moving and hiding. Really fun. There's a car chase scene in this movie. Holy cow, man. Like, it got to the end of the scene, and literally the entire audience, packed house, 30, 40 people, everyone had some sort of audible response to that scene, man. I was like, whoo, damn. Someone else was like, that was tight. Like, you heard audible reactions to the sequence. It is dope. And I love the action. But the thing that drives this movie, and it ties back to that Miles thing I was just talking about, right? Like that real good storyline between the two of them. It's the storyline for McCall and the community. The first Equalizer, he's kind of coming out of retirement, where this one he's been doing what he's been doing now for a while. And we get to see like 5, 6 different community missions where he goes out and rights wrongs from the community, and all of them are awesome. And it just, the aspects of the revenge side of the storyline that's in this movie also just make everything seem so much more personal to Denzel's McCall. And it makes the movie feel more personal. I mean, I'll be damned. Antoine Fuqua got me to tear up at the end of this movie because of one of those community storyline, things that Denzel kind of helps figure out. It's one of those things that's kind of set up throughout the movie, and the payoff better than I could have anticipated, and actually got me to roll one. And it is. I think that's why I love this movie so much. That community storyline is so strong and so solid. Really, really big fan, man. I'm telling you, you got time this weekend, go check out Equalizer 2. Denzel is badass, brings great hand-to-hand combat, visceral action, but with like a really solid community heart. You're seeing McCall take one step closer, if you will, to becoming, like his community's superhero. So that's it, man. That's all I gotta say. I really, really loved Equalizer 2. Go check it out. If you're a Denzel fan, you should definitely enjoy this movie. So now it's your turn. If you haven't, like I said, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. If you have, let me know what you thought. Hit those comments below. And as always, if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that little bell so you get an alert every time I make a new video for the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. I am the Seaman. Now I'm signing off. Peace, my babies!